Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soul Seekers podcast, where we believe that hunting has the power to transform lives through primal adventure as we share our mission of mentorship is conservation. To learn more about everything we do, check out our show on Carbon TV or go to soulseekersnation.com. Freedom on, everybody, and stay soulful. This podcast is also proudly brought to you by Onyx Hunt. When I first got into hunting, I kept hearing all about public land and different access and how to find different locations to hunt. I was like, well, how are people even identifying all this stuff? Well, sure enough, I came across the #1 hunting GPS app, and that is Onyx Hunt. If you guys want to get better at hunting and go deeper into your scouting, Onyx Hunt is the #1 GPS app for that. Join the millions of hunters who trust Onyx Hunt to find more game, discover new access, and hunt smarter. It was a game changer for me, and I know it's going to be a game changer for you if you've never used it. If you have used it, you know the power that it holds. Guys, I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to know more about Onyx, go to onyxmaps.com/hunt and check out their app. Be blessed, freedom on, and stay soulful. All right, guys, if you're in the market for a new hunting rifle this coming year, look no further than a Kelbly's rifle. I've been rocking their Koda rifle for the last couple seasons, and I've had great success with it. It's an amazing shooter, and every time I put one of their rifles in somebody's hands, they're like, oh, I got to get one of these. Kelbly's holds over 92 world and national records that are either broken or set on one of their actions or rifles. So they really set a higher level of accuracy. If you want to know more about Kelbly's rifles, go to kelbly.com. That's KELBLY.com. Tell them Johnny Mac sent you with Soul Seekers, and go enjoy shooting that much more in this coming hunting season. Be blessed, everybody. Go check out Kelbly Rifles. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Seekers podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac, and today I am joined live at the Initial Ascent booth here at the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo with Josh Fields of Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls and my good man, Samuel Singleton, and we're going to be talking all about elk calling, elk hunting, elk locating. We're going to be talking about having a good time, because anytime we're together, it's always a great time. Josh, thanks for joining us, brother.
Johnny, thanks as always for having me, buddy. How do you do that without a teleprompter?
Oh, I've recited it so many times.
God, you're good at what you do. No, thanks for having me, Johnny. It's always a pleasure to get with you and be able to jump on and,
Dude, it's
and
a
chat
great time.
Chat some elk stuff.
Yeah. So I actually just, this is Sam's first time at the Western Hunt. I was like, dude, bro.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's busy.
Yeah.
It's way different than anything I've ever experienced.
Yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is the Super Bowl of the Western hunting shows.
Yeah.
The Western Hunt Expo. Yep.
I think it's the Super Bowl of any hunting show.
It's pretty dang good. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to agree with you there.
It's really
I'm partial.
cool.
I didn't want to be too partial, but yeah, it's good.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I told Sam, I go, what are you doing in February? You want to go to Salt Lake City with me? He's like, man, I've never even been to Utah before. I was like,
Yeah, never.
So right before we came, I actually go, have you ever blown a diaphragm before? Like, do you know how to elk call? He's like, oh, man, I've done a little bit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, dude, it's good to be reunited with you, brother.
No,
It's always a good time.
Yes.
We had a killer episode back in the fall leading into elk season where we dialed it in.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal episode. So all you guys listening to this podcast, if you want to know more about like the tips and tactics of calling and strategy in the field, that is something that you're going to want to go check out. I don't remember what episode that was, but that was a good one.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. That was late August, getting ready to go for early September. Tips, tactics, and we talked about a lot of that stuff that was put forth in that season. Yep. So we can do a little recap of last season, but a lot of great feedback from that one, and it's all about helping, right?
Right.
Do we or I or you know it all? Absolutely not.
No.
But we put the information out there, and if it helps just a little bit, that's what it's about.
I just gave my bear hunting seminar today.
Yes.
And, it's so funny. Sometimes I feel like a fraud. like I'm up here giving a seminar because I want to, but not because I know it all or anything. It's like, dude, I'm just a guy that wants to share what I do know. So I'm up there like, hey, feel free to reach out anytime, and if I don't have that answer, I'll go find it for you. And you know.
Yep, there you go.
Well, you got to be honest, right?
Right.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, you put it out there as well too. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to teach you as much. Learn with me.
Yes.
Let's learn together,
Yes.
right? Because no matter whether you're archery elk hunting, you're black bear hunting, you're deer hunting, at any point, if you ever think you know it all, you're about to be humbled real quick.
Absolutely.
I don't know how good of a quote this is, but I'm going to share this is what my father would always say. He'd always say, either you are green and growing or you're ripe and rotting.
Ah, I like that.
And I was like, there you go. So we always want to strive to continue to grow and learn and get better. Don't rest on our laurels.
Yep.
You know, this is why we're doing another podcast with Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, because we're not going to just rest on that phenomenal episode last fall.
No.
Anyways, so enough of this wonderful jazz that we're putting out. You had a hell of a season this last year. How many kills were you a part of?
Man, I tell you what, I was very, very, very blessed last year. It was one of those years where, you know, when everything just goes right.
Yeah.
It was great. We had 6 archery elk hunts, 5 out of 6. We would have connected 6 out of 6. We won't mention any names, but somebody within the company let one fly a little high, which, hey, it was his first time ever, you know, letting an arrow fly at a big mature bull elk. Yeah, it was great. And to watch his heart pump and to watch the quiver, I mean, that's what it's about. But yes, it was a phenomenal year last year. It was tough in a lot of places that even we were at, just the stars aligned. It fell into place. Very, very lucky. Some great footage, some great content, and had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. By no means easy,
but
it was a great, great year.
Was that your best hunting season? Like, of your career?
That's a broad question, Johnny. Are we talking just strictly elk hunting?
No, I'm saying hunting. Like,
I've
what you've been able to accomplish in 1 year.
I've been lucky in Montana, my home state. They're going to give me a sheep tag, hopefully this year, fingers crossed. And that's the last one.
They are giving you a sheep tag.
They are giving me a sheep tag. That's the last one I need for the Montana Big Ten.
Really?
Wow.
I think we talked about that last time, maybe in our last podcast, maybe not.
Yeah.
But that's a great question for the viewers, too, is what is the Montana Big Ten, right?
What is it?
Man, I got to name them all off now. Okay, let's do it. You got moose, sheep, goat, mule deer, whitetail, elk, black bear, mountain lion, antelope, and mountain lion. Holy smokes, I got them all. Didn't I?
You said mountain lion twice.
You definitely did.
Okay.
Let's go antlered animals. Elk.
Yep.
Mule deer.
Yep. Whitetail.
Whitetail.
Yep.
Moose.
Yep.
Pronghorn.
Pronghorn.
Yep.
Okay, so then there's
moose,
bear. Cougar.
Yep. Moose, sheep, goat. I didn't say it twice. Come on, guys. Did I forget antelope?
We said moose twice now.
Okay.
Because I said moose was an antlered animal. Yeah, that's 9.
Come on.
Come on.
Big.
Well, regardless, you shot a turkey. Or wolf. Is it a wolf?
Nope, it's not a wolf.
A wolf's not a part of the Big
Ten.
Ten?
Moose, sheep, goat. We have to get this. Moose, sheep, goat, elk, whitetail, mule deer, black bear, cougar, antelope, buffalo.
Buffalo.
Oh,
Yes.
man. How could you forget that?
I don't know. I drew that in 2006 and was lucky to harvest that one. I know.
Wow.
Sorry to my bison.
How many people? That's got to be a small list that have hit the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, when you draw those permits as well, people, you understand, it gives you an opportunity. So you still have to get out there and make it happen.
Absolutely.
And a lot of luck's involved. Time in the woods, right? We talk a lot about last year, perseverance, right? When all else is failing, stick it out. But yeah, so I've been lucky in Montana there. So I've had some phenomenal years. And I'm also fortunate and blessed to have such a great support group at home to be able to do what I love to do and to have those seasons where it was a goat season, it was a moose season, you know, your elk, your deer, your bear,
right.
And then to also live in a state where I'm able to do that.
Right.
So last year, as far as archery elk, though, of being a part of that, it was absolutely epic.
Yeah.
It was epic, man. It was really good. A lot of good scenarios, a lot of great stuff from slow play calling to getting right in on them to you name it, it happened, and it was awesome.
So Sam's never archery elk hunted.
Nope, never have.
So this is I'm really glad that the three of us are able to sit down, because now that Sam's my new hunting partner, because now we're neighbors in Texas and it's a lot easier to just do that. You know, shout out to Tony and Will, awesome people. But as we all know, when you live near somebody, it's a lot easier to
Sure.
make some plans.
Yeah.
With that being said, though, I'm like, Sam, you've never archery elk hunted. Do you know how to blow a bugle? Do you know how to use a diaphragm? Like, these are the things, like, if we're going to hunt together, we got a picture taken. Picture op, smile, everybody.
Yeah.
If we're going to archery elk hunt together, like, I'm not calling the entire time. You're going to have to learn how to call.
Get Sam spun up. We
Yeah.
can. Well, Sam, you're going to get the bug of archery elk.
It's the
from
best.
not even doing it, from just this podcast here.
Absolutely.
We talk about
Yeah.
it. You'll see, and you can tell already the excitement, the energy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it truly is an addiction, a passion, all that good stuff. So
I have dreams about shooting black bears and shooting elk.
Yep.
I like full on this last week before I was flying here. I woke up. I sleep well at night, but I woke up remembering my dreams about hunting. I was like, oh, because you and I are hunting together this year.
We're gonna make it happen.
We're hunting.
We're making it happen. Yep.
Because, and I told my wife, I'm in a transition of, like, I don't exactly know what jobs or how life's gonna play out.
Sure.
But I'm gonna plan like I'm in control. Well, I'm gonna take that back. Be careful. Sorry, God.
Yeah.
I'm not in control, but I'm gonna plan my life like I want to plan my life.
Yeah.
And then if it falls into place,
Sure.
we'll make it happen.
Yep.
I don't want to,
Yeah.
overspeak right there. But
Yeah.
We're not guaranteed tomorrow, my friend.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. So we gotta, plan like. I don't have. How many seasons do you like? 2 questions. How many seasons have you been hunting elk, chasing them in the woods, archery style, and how many do you feel like you could continue? At what age?
So, previously on our previous podcast, I had a baseball career
Yep.
that lasted 10 years, which goes right into September. So I've hunted elk, deer, everything else my whole life.
Yeah.
Growing up in Montana. I got serious into archery and I was right about 25 years old.
Yeah.
And so, was able to get lucky and I had a great mentor at that time as well in 26, and that's what really kicked me off. And then with Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls and Rocky Jacobson, for those that don't know the name Rocky, anybody that Western elk hunts probably knows Rocky Jacobson. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, the founder, big time mentor. That's really when the pinnacle for me of whatever you measure success of harvesting bulls or just being in the woods. However you measure that, that's up to you. But that's when I started having success of actually harvesting elk with a bow.
Yeah.
And then, got on a roll. So I've been doing it hard since 25. I'm 44 now. So you do the math there.
Yeah.
Been fortunate to be able to hunt elk in Montana every year and quite a few of the western states like crazy.
So awesome.
And I truly feel, say, how long can I do it effectively? Did a great podcast this morning with Eastman's Elevated. I feel like I'm at the peak of my career. I don't know if I'm at the peak, but I hear well, I see well, I smell well. I think that I make my living, I cut my teeth on calling the elk in close. That's why I'm such a great bow shot.
Yeah.
I shoot them from 10 yards. You really can't miss them at 10. No, that's my joke. I really feel like dialed in, but I also say that to say this, because when you think you've got it figured out, go archery hunt elk and let them see just kick the best elk hunters, callers, whatever it may be in the world. It's a game that humbles us.
Yeah.
So I feel like physically and mentally I'm at the peak. I don't know. Hopefully I got, like Rocky, who's in his 70s and still doing it. Hopefully I got a lot of years, lot of years.
So let's talk a little bit about this. So Sam's never archery elk hunted.
Okay.
I'm a late into the game guy. I don't have a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hunt bulls. Like, you can get over-the-counter cow tags and spike tags.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do this? Like, how do people get into the game and start, getting after these bulls?
There's a lot of very good info and tools out there for the tag allocation stuff.
Yeah.
But for me personally, if I was coming in at this point, I would look. First of all, you got to draw points. And that goes to say with the premium units, right? You got to be in that point pool.
Absolutely.
But there are still several states that are just with no point system.
Right.
General, throw your general draw, throw your name in the hat. I would start with those states, and then you got to look for the areas. Number one, you got to hunt elk where they are. Okay,
Dude.
So you got to do your research and know that there's going to be some elk there, because, and know plug or anything against any jabs, the fish and game or whatnot, but a lot of the information that is out there is not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And I know that because I live in a state and hunt other states to where I know that tags are allocated, but your chance of success and actually being or into elk are very, very low.
Yeah.
So first things first, you got to figure out where the elk are after you're thinking of where you want to put in. But general tags. And you got to start somewhere. Okay.
So
there's better states than others.
So state of Washington, my home state.
Man.
It's
tough.
Yeah. But you can get an over-the-counter bull tag. You can hunt elk, archery elk, 3-point minimum every year if you want to, being an out-of-state resident or an in-state resident. But, like, that's cool, but it's a tough state to hunt.
Yes. And I'm not schooled and spun up in the state of Washington, so you could spin me up there. But I do know what I know about Washington, what I hear. Tough.
Yeah.
You know, guys are waiting 19, 20, 22, 23 years to burn points to get into a premium tag.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Steve Ranella on his Meat Eater episode where he did that archery elk in the Blue Mountains got a lot of grief about that. But
did the needle move on that? There you go.
Sure did.
Yeah,
sure did.
Yep.
So when it comes to states to elk hunt, are you looking at just accessibility points, or are you just like, what state do I want to hunt, or what type of terrain? Like,
yep, all the above.
Yep, of all
variables,
the above.
buddy.
Yeah.
So, quality. First of all, for me in Montana, I'm fortunate where I get to bounce around in the state. I primarily hunt up north because it's steep and deep, and I'm a slow learner. Not a lot of elk, but when I find them, I can usually work them and hopefully make something happen. But if I'm traveling to hunt, I usually shoot for the stars, a little bit of quality. But then again, there's nothing better, in my opinion, in getting into an area that has a bunch of elk, multiple bulls.
Huntable elk.
Yes, there you go. And that I love that word you say, huntable, because there's a lot of elk in the state of Montana. There's a lot of elk in the state of Colorado. A lot of those elk are on places where you and you cannot hunt and access. So you got to find that ground where you can hunt, right? And nothing against the private land or guided hunts or anything like that. You just have to hunt the best stuff that you were afforded to and have access to.
Right.
So I'm looking for accessibility, right? I need to know that I can hunt it and have a good hunt, but I also got to know that I'm going into elk. And how do you do that? You rely on stuff like this, information.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that I really am a proponent of that people don't think about very often is invest in yourself, right? Like, people are like, oh, I'll take a college course, or I'll pay for this, pay for that, but I won't pay for Hunting Fool, or I won't pay for these things that are going to help me identify and dial in what I love and pursue and live out day to day to get better.
Yeah.
Are you tracking me a little bit on that?
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a lot of great stuff out there, and a lot of it's free, a lot of good information. I'll still say to this day, though, boots on the ground, right?
Can't beat it.
Boots on the ground. Like what you say, invest in yourself, invest in those tools, but invest in your friends and, any information that you can get out there, because it's a tough game out there now, boys.
Absolutely.
We know it. The tag game is absolutely crazy.
Yep. Well, shoot, you and I waited in line for how long at Idaho fishing game for the elk?
Well, you get online and that whole, it's man,
battle.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I remember back when I was hunting Idaho, I'd be driving to Idaho and picking up a tag on the way down.
Oh.
And so, the opportunities are more limited. They're still there, though. You just have to do a little bit more research and be a little more prepared.
Yeah.
So,
Sam, before I want you to jump in anytime. Do you have any questions about how to elk call or how to locate or any of that?
Well, so most of the elk hunts that I've been on are all late season.
Okay.
Third rifle, typically Colorado.
Uh-huh.
So calling isn't necessarily as popular, I guess you'd say. You're not hearing
bulls aren't rutting. You're
Right.
not bugling bulls.
Right.
Although they do bugle to bugle and round up those time of the year.
They do, and typically when we'd hear them was right after dark.
Yeah.
That's when they'd be firing off.
Yep.
So is there how could I use, say I went on another late season hunt.
Yeah.
What application would I use for an elk call?
Absolutely late season. diaphragms with our cow-calf call
Yep.
or your external cow call,
Okay.
right? First of all, just a scenario, late season elk hunt, you're hunting cows and you're hiking up on a ridge, snow is crunchy and all that. Wind is good, always play the wind, right? We got to play the wind.
Absolutely.
But you're just letting out some soft cow calls every once in a while, just right? That's going to mask the crunch, get you in closer for that shot. Or they're running across the hillside, you need to make that call again to get them stopped.
Yeah.
Just a great tool. So
Right.
you should honestly never be hunting elk.
Without
and never
one.
say never, never say always, but never be hunting elk without the very minimum an external cow call.
Gotcha.
And that's
Absolutely.
what you taught me this last year, because I would only
Yeah.
go in the field with the diaphragm.
Yeah.
But you're saying external.
Have
like,
yourself, if you're proficient with your diaphragms, like you can make, your basic, you just make your, get her in there and what, right? Then diaphragms. But I'm out there with both. Because you never know when you're going to run into a
Sure.
coyote and you want to do a little predator calling or something too.
Dude.
But an external
Yes.
and a diaphragm for elk hunting, you have to. If you're going out without your external or your diaphragm and you're elk hunting at any time of the year, you're going out with, you're missing some bullets in the mag.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you that.
You're standing
Cool.
on one leg.
There you go.
Yeah, see, the last hunt I went on, Johnny was like, hey, take this cow call with you and use it. And I'm like, okay, like, how?
I gave him the little squeaker, not that.
The little flirt.
Yes, the
Yes.
little
Yeah.
flirt.
And I'm like, okay, so what do I do with this? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like,
Great story. He was just over here taking a few pictures. Ken Anderson, he works with Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls this year with his kid. He's out deer hunting. He sees a cow elk on a ridge. He has his trophy wife. He has a cow elk tag. He cow calls her from ridge to ridge, comes over, brings her right in. This is late October, early November. Cow calls and fills his cow tag. The coolest thing ever with his
Wow.
his 10-year-old boy. So
there you go. I mean,
they're a very vocal animal. And
Sure.
the other thing, elk like elk, right? So great scenario for him there. He finds a lone cow elk. He's, makes some cow calls. She's like, all right.
Yeah.
There's my herd.
Full
Yeah.
freezer and cool. Yep, it's good.
okay,
Good.
that's
Right.
good info. That's something I need to know.
Elk. Let's say this again for the people in the back. Elk like elk.
Elk like elk.
So if they're lone cows are a common thing, right?
Well,
Or is it not? I mean,
not really. No.
Okay.
A lone cow, something has happened where she got broke off from the herd. Maybe she's already been bred and she's moving on, but a lone cow is not a common thing. So if you're glassing through, say, thick timber or something, and you see elk and you're only seeing one lone cow over there, or depending on the year, bulls, we can get really high level and start talking about into that kind of stuff. But if you see one cow elk on a hill and you're like, there's better than a 90% chance, and I would bet a lot of money on it, there's more elk in that area. They're close. Because they just, typically a lone cow, she's not going to. Now, a spike elk, spike bull, that's the loneliest animal in the woods. Those poor things, I mean, they just get kicked out and
Beat
whatnot.
down, run off.
Yeah. So, yes, it is. They are the loneliest animal in the woods.
Now, would you say they're fairly easy to call in?
Yes. Well, yes, I would. Yep.
Interesting.
Basic cow-calf sounds, your external.
Right.
Your diaphragms, but then obviously, what do we need to hunt elk? We need our diaphragm, we need our external cow call, and we need our bugle tube. And yes, a spike bull, very curious. They're lonely.
That's good to know.
As easy as it gets to call them in. Yep.
Cool.
Do you carry a bugle tube if you're not hunting big bulls?
When are we talking?
If you're hunting a spike, are you carrying a bugle tube?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh yeah, spike's bugle. Right.
Well, yeah.
They get.
right.
I mean, if we're here, I don't know. They just, they try.
You
They get
make
high
it
and they
look
squealy.
So easy.
Well, I play with diaphragms a lot, man.
You're good with it.
No, but yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, if I am elk hunting archery at any point, I have a bugle tube, my diaphragms, and my external cow call. Rifle season, I have my external cow call and I have my diaphragms. Now this year I was hunting in Montana, had a late season cow tag, so third week in November. This bull was so fired up. It was unbelievable. I don't know if he missed the rut or what it is. He only came into about 100 yards, but he's raking, doing the whole deal. And then he went down across the ridge and was doing more of a roundup type bugle at that time. But he was bugling more than in an archery season. It was
Really?
third week in November. So I had cow call, and all I could do was really cow call. I mean, you can voice call bugle, but it's not the same when you have a tube, right? You're projecting, getting that volume.
Yeah.
Those good guttural back pressure sounds. But
Yeah.
So to answer your question, always in the archery season, I have all my tools. In a rifle season or a muzzleloader season, depending on the time of the year, though, too. So I'm talking Montana Generals, late October and through November. Yeah, but if I'm strictly elk hunting, why not?
What do you think about, because this is what I felt, and this is just anecdotal, that rut's moving more shifting into October out of September. Is that a true statement across the board?
I will tell you this, in my experiences, and everything that I put on here is my experience, right? It's,
Right, we can only
there's
speak
always
from our,
another way, right?
yeah.
But this is just a way, not the way. I like to say that. I think it's geographical. It depends where you're hunting.
Are you talking like latitude? Like,
Yeah, I'm
like
talking-
southern U.S. versus northern?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm talking moon phases. I'm talking weather. I'm talking all those variables. It's been as good as it's ever been the first week opener on a September, and I've had it as good as it'll ever be in the first week of an October into a second week.
Right.
So, geographically, where are you?
So Big Al Morris, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he's an awesome person, but he always talks about hunting that full moon in September. Like, right, like the 16th, 17th, or not the full moon, but like he was saying, like, those are the dates right in there that he prefers.
Sure.
I showed up on an elk tag that I had, and they were screaming at night, and the next day they were bugling, and they went silent the rest of the time. And I was like, what's going on? Because I could have planned my trip any of the season,
Yeah.
but I planned my trip like on those dates.
You know, and so that's another great question. We talk into like the moon and the red moon and the moon phase. I believe in it. There's some science behind it. I've tried to follow it, but I'm also a guy that I hunt when I can hunt.
Yep.
And everybody else get out there and hunt when you can hunt. If you're that guy that has your token week of vacation, you pick the best dates. Typically around that 15th is when it starts to kick off, but you could hit weather. You could hit moon. I mean, they could just not be going. There could not be an elk in that area at that time. Even if there are elk, there may not be the hot cow, and that's when the bulls start bugling, right?
Right.
When they find them hot cows.
Okay,
So-
let's pause this for a second and talk species and hot cow, because we went on a spring bear hunt this last year, and there was a hot sow in this drainage, and we saw 7 or 8 bears within this small little pocket. But the minute that sow left, every bear was gone.
was that?
That was first week of June.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to use bear hunting as like a cross-training thing for other animals.
Sure.
So you have to find a hot cow, or you just need to like always hunt cows.
Well, yeah, I mean, not necessarily. I love these questions, man. You're diving into, like, in my opinion, a higher level stuff now. You know, you're trying to get the nitty gritty, everything done here in an hour. You're making my mind work a little bit, which is good. No, you're not always hunting cows. If you find cows early in September or late August and there's no bulls around, if you can stay on the cows and you have the time, yes, the bulls will be there. You know, the best thing to do, in my opinion, is you need to find the lone bull that is in transition looking for them cows, that pre-rut stuff. Right before they're starting to get the herd, you know, the herd bull starts rounding up his harem of cows. That's when they're most vulnerable. It's very, very tough. It can be done to pull a big herd bull away from his cows. A lot of people will probably not a lot, but some will just use like, yeah, it can be done. It has been done.
Yeah.
We'll continue to do it, but get in there before that. Get in there to where they're transitioning and they're getting that pecking order. And, you know, because once they get that pecking order, depending on the numbers of elk, right, we got to talk high bull to cow ratio, low bull to cow. So it's geographical. So I'm speaking just a lot of the western states, steep and deep timber, I hunt in places where there are just not a lot of elk, but I try and find the elk that I can play with and work them and get an arrow into them.
If you got questions, hop in at any
Oh,
time,
I'm just
Sam.
taking this all in.
Because I have like a mental
I
list
know.
right now. I'm like,
You keep me on track because it's like I feel a plethora of like, I'm giving, So
Yeah.
if there's something we want to get detailed on, hunting bulls to cows to all that good stuff.
So next question, and then I'm going to talk about Utah and how their season opens in August.
There you go. That's another.
But before we get to that, here's a question for you. I feel like to be an efficient elk hunter, it's actually best to be hunting from a vehicle on roads or an e-bike or something like that where you can constantly go from drainage to drainage and rip bugles. However, there's the sex appeal of backpack hunting, but then it really limits I can only cover this much ground in this much time.
Man, Johnny, he's trying to get me dialed in today.
Yeah, he's really good.
So what are you asking, Johnny? What do you want, my opinion, or you gave a lot of good information there. One key point is being able to be mobile and cover ground and locate. You have to find the elk before you can hunt them, okay? So it depends. Are you somebody that has a drainage that has been great for 20 years and that's where I'm putting my marbles? Or are you willing to be mobile and pack up and go from I like perch fishing back home, right? I can't sit in one hole for more than 5. If I don't get a bite right away, I'm move. And that's how I hunt. I stay mobile so I can find the elk.
So you more base camp, like you'll set up a big wall tent,
It
base
depends.
camp?
I have my places that I will put the big boy pants on and I'm going in overnight and I'm going to sleep on them because I've had success in there.
Absolutely.
And I believe in it and I do take chances, risk versus reward on new places to try that if I really believe in it.
Yeah.
On the same token, if I'm able to day hunt places, I will day hunt places. I try to hone the craft and broaden my horizons, whatever it takes. Do I got to go in 3 miles and set my spike camp because that's where they're going to be, or can I get a bull to bugle a half a mile from the road and work him enough to get him into range?
So here I am living in Texas now, dreaming of Western big game hunting, and it's like, okay, pick my state, pick my seasons, whatever. I don't have, what type of hunt am I going to be doing?
Yeah.
That where do we start? Like ground zero. I feel like that's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, huge hurdle.
Yeah.
That's the hurdle for a lot of folks.
That is the hurdle. Man, that's why I feel so blessed to be able to grow up where I did and be able to hunt elk like I've been. Specifically, I hunted all species, but
absolutely,
elk is my bread and butter. That's where, like I say, I cut my teeth. That's where I make my living. Not that I make living off the elk, but I make, my family, we love to eat them. That's why I hunt them. It can be like overwhelming. And it's tougher in today's world than it was even 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, right? But you got to start somewhere.
Right.
Look at the states that have elk. Look at the states that give you the draw odds, the generals, and then get out there and do it.
Okay, so that brings me into the next question of Utah, and their season opens in August.
Okay.
So before being a school teacher, I'm looking at my calendar, and I'm like, well, school doesn't start back when I lived in Washington. School doesn't start until September. Mm-hmm. I could actually hunt elk in August down in Utah, whether it's spike or cows, or I think there might be a couple, like, bull units that you could hunt. I'll have to double check on that. But the rut hasn't kicked in. It's not pre-rut yet.
See, you're talking high-level tag stuff now because a lot of people, men and women, wouldn't think of that. Like, they're just putting into Utah hoping to draw anything. Well, you might draw, but it could be the early season stuff, and you're right. So I'm a firm believer now you got to put in when you can put in and when you're ready to hunt, and hopefully you can draw because we all know how hard it is to draw a tag, let alone a premium tag.
Yep.
But you're right. That's high-level stuff right there of thinking on, like, the dates. Like, is this year I really want to draw Utah on that specific tag?
Right.
Right. Right.
I mean, you're throwing a lot of good stuff out there, man. I'm telling you what. You decided to, let's just never do another elk hunting podcast. We'll throw it all out there. Josh, give it to us. What do you got, man? What can you? Yeah.
We're gonna transcribe this into a book.
Yeah.
Just like the manual.
Available on Amazon.
Well, you know what? What's going to be awesome is that when we take what we've done in a podcast and we go do it in a hunt.
Yeah. You apply it, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're going to film an episode of Soul Seekers, maybe even make it into a film fest piece. Win it. I want to win a film fest.
That
I'm
would be
tired.
great. Well, you're the guy. If there's somebody who can win it, it's you. So
Nah, that's right. If it's meant to be,
yeah.
it's up to
Yeah,
me.
we could absolutely put something special together. But
Oh my gosh.
You never heard that before?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay.
It was from you though.
yeah. It's the same. It's the same thing as we talk about. We can bring up war stories forever of all your hunting experiences. In elk wise specifically, what's your favorite bull you ever killed? Right. I was so fortunate to hammer a giant 2 years ago, which I still get very sentimental about, to find something like that in my country. I mean, he's over there on the pedestal. Johnny's like, that's him. I'm like, yep.
Dude.
Yeah. So that's the stuff you live for. But I say that to say this. The joke is, what's your favorite bull? The next one.
The next one. Yeah.
Right.
But
That's
it's
right.
you kind of that mentality too. There's nothing better than getting new people into hunting. We have to.
Yeah.
But when you've done it and lived for it so long, such as myself and a lot of people here and a lot of people in the industry and out of the industry, I'm a firm believer some of the best hunters in the world and gals you'll never hear about. That's just not them, which is super cool.
Yep.
But you got to be looking ahead, right? And I want to be able to do this for a long, long time, and I want your kids to be able to do it. My kids, Sam, I don't know if you have kids.
I do.
But
He's about to be a father of two here in March.
well,
end of March.
right on.
Yep.
Congrats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But generation, I want them to be able to experience just a taste of what I've been able to experience. And
Right.
that comes through conservation and making good choices and all that good stuff.
That's right. Making sure that there's enough for the next go around.
Yep.
Well, there's an old proverb that says, I'm going to butcher this, by the way. So, but a wise man plants a tree knowing that he'll never sit under the shade of it, or something like that.
Right.
To that effect.
Yeah.
You could have got away with that without saying you're going to butcher it. I think you'd have been pretty good.
Yeah.
Sam would call me on it later, though.
I mean,
He'd be typing in or sitting on the podcast being like, hey, man, you got to get that
Yeah.
proverb
I
down.
need to get this
Okay.
tightened up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I mean, if you're going to speak, you better know your
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So let's get into this August hunt. So we're talking. It's not even pre-rut. I am chasing cows and spikes. Do I go about vocalization to find them, or am I just glassing them?
Man, well, that's another tough question. So you're going to kill a lot more, and we talked about this with your eyes than you ever with your legs. So glassing, but we're in the business in Rocky Mountain hunting calls with our stuff and our product. Second to none. Take it to the bank. It works. The proof is in the pudding, right?
Right.
Not only from the World Championship elk callers at the World Championships, which by no means, I say it all the time, do you need to be a World Championship elk caller to kill elk? Absolutely not.
Well,
Absolutely
listen,
not.
You've yet to achieve the championship.
Yeah.
So
second best.
The proof is
Third
in
best.
the proof is in
Fourth
the pudding
best.
of exactly what he's saying is that you don't have to be the best,
Man.
as told by the ears of humans, not by the ears of elk.
Yeah.
Let's qualify that for a second.
Yeah.
To that, this man knows exactly how to hunt elk.
Yeah. Basic sounds,
Yeah.
timing, right?
That's right.
In that area where there are elk. That's, keys to success. And then overall, and I think we maybe touch a little bit of this on the last podcast, perseverance, right?
Sure.
And put the word adaptation. We talked about that this morning. You got to be willing to adapt,
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
things are tough, you go a little bit further or stay a little bit longer, and
Yeah, that's one thing I've always said to Johnny is like talking about Texas hunting, and he's asking me questions about it, and I said, man, Johnny, it's more of what not to do. Figure out what not to do,
Yeah. There you go.
and you'll be successful.
There you go.
I felt like I had a pretty good grasp about hunting in general until I went to Texas, and I'm like, dude, I feel like I don't know anything. But then when I stopped and paused and I slowed down, I realized that it actually doesn't change anywhere you go, just the topography does, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Elk hunting specifically, too, because you do have elk in Texas.
We
we
do.
do. They're considered an exotic.
Not
You
necessarily.
don't even have to have it.
There's some counties where you can draw a bull tag down in Southwest Texas.
Yeah, but you also, the ones that are there are okay, true, but you actually don't have to have a hunt because they're exotic. You don't have to have an elk tag.
Wow.
And you can hunt them year round because of that.
Point being, elk are elk.
Yeah.
Elk are vocal. Elk are a herd animal. Elk like elk. Early season, we talk about Utah, August. I still am locating them. I can't hunt them if I can't find them.
Right.
Right? Now, if you glass them up and there's just spikes and cows in there, it's going to be, are you going to call a cow in most circumstances far, far, far away? No. Get in close, get in that bubble. A tactic of mine, which I'm going to catch heck for, and I still do from at home. And that's one of the things growing up where I grew up. Tough country. It prepared me for a lot of the other stuff in a lot of different states I can hunt. No, by no means is it easier in the other states. It's just different.
Yeah.
I would say, you kind of get a little more comfortable, I'd say, to speak. But I always, cow call. You start in with a cow call. Soft. Yeah. Into a mature cow call, nothing. Because who knows, if you get out of the truck or you get a quarter mile up that trailhead, that bull's right there. And if you go and you rip off a bugle, even if it's just a locator, you can pick his cows up and run depending on your low bull to cow ratio. So you have certain things. Experience is gold. You cannot deny that, right?
You can't beat it.
Yeah.
How often do you cow call with a bugle tube?
A lot. Yeah, depending on the wind, depending on elevation and what's going on with the wind and the weather, right? I mean, is it always just, 40-some perfect degrees, no wind, no nothing? No, it's raining, it's sleeting, sometimes it's snowing. To project that sound, you'll cow call through a cow tube. I'm always starting without a bugle tube, but yeah, I'll cow a fair amount.
All right, so Sam's going to be elk calling for me when you're not.
We got you, Sam.
So Sam needs to learn the basic tools of elk calling for us to go out in the woods and be successful. Take us through it.
Cow calf.
So what does that sound like?
Cow calf with a diaphragm. Easy. Well, I shouldn't say easy. It is easy. You're gonna learn
I can call
easy.
turkey with a diaphragm.
The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to fit you for your palate because we're going to get that diaphragm fitted. That's what Rocky Mountain Hunting calls. We hang our hat on teaching people how to call.
Really?
So you can turkey call?
Yeah.
Then you can elk call. I think turkey call is way harder than elk call.
Really?
Yes,
All right.
I do. So, cow calf. Cow calf. So that's a basic cow calf. Now on an external, the same, right? This is a bite and blow. Just the mylar reed, just lip pressure.
It gives a different sound.
It does.
A little bit more buzz, yeah. And so that's the difference in with our external cow calls, the barrels, right? We have acrylic, we have machined aluminum.
Sure.
A little secret, might be bringing back a wood one. We have
cool.
plastic. So that's the difference in the reed and the barrel.
Yeah.
So, but to get back to the basic sounds, that's what you need to know right there is your cow-calf sounds. And then you can get into your mature cow sounds, in your nasally and in your estrus buzz.
Give us an example.
Right? So you get a little more buzz. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you're just buzzing. You just get a little buzz on there.
Okay.
So your cow-calf. You need to know your cow-calf. Moving on with your external cow-calf, your diaphragm cow-calf, and then to your bugle. You need to know just a locator bugle.
Yeah.
Getting more advanced, you want to learn the chuckles. Did you hear that elk right there?
I
That's
sure
just
did.
locator, no chuckle at the end, but that's the same deal. So without blowing out any ears, we can just do just a quick locator.
Before you rip this, okay?
I'm not going to rip it. I'm going to put it in my hand so that we don't hurt our viewers' ears.
A locator bugle is just a bugle. A challenge bugle is a bugle with chuckles at the end. I mean, is that kind of like a
That's a good way to put it, but not necessarily. Now you're getting real advanced. A challenge bugle is just a lot of emotion, match the emotion, right? And you can display with your lip ball, But where we're starting is the question is just basic.
Yeah.
So just a 1 or 2 note locator, right? Right there.
That sounded
Just-
great through my head.
Just
did.
hold the pitch. You hit that high note, and that's going to trigger that bull right there. And then more advanced, we start getting into like your display and your challenges and
You
your
hear
chuckles.
that? You just got a call back.
Yeah. Wait.
Call them in.
we're good. So for, so just your locator. Now, if I do the locator at the end, a little bit more like aggression, you'll feel that.
Dude, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we got to play with these a lot. So,
Yeah.
no, and you can learn this, Sam, and that could be a big goal of mine and Johnny. We can get you, because you got to call for Johnny to do that, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, sure.
basic cow-calf and a locator bugle. That's what you need to know. And then we talk about timing, and then we talk about playing the wind and all the other variables. It's such a cat and mouse game, right? It all has to come together. Calling is just one aspect, but we can't hunt them unless we can find them.
Yeah.
Correct. If they're not there, you're not going to kill them.
You got to be honed, and then the next part is getting them in close and
Right.
presenting this for a shot and placing the arrow and doing it all right.
So step one is find them, right?
Find them.
And then you've got to
We
talk
can really simplify this.
You've got to talk to them.
Yep.
And then you've got to make the right choices when you need to make them.
And the reason why it's such an addiction and a passion, because in my opinion, I was going to take a drink, my bad. In my opinion, there's nothing harder to do than to kill a bull elk with a bow and arrow. That's granted on private and public. We'll never get into a debate. It's just a hard thing to do. It's a challenge.
Yep. I like hard things.
What stuff is coming up in your head? I mean, we have the master right here, Josh Fields.
Well, it's
You're too kind.
it's something that I've never really dipped my toes into, is actually trying to call an elk.
Yeah.
I've been in the woods with them, but I was just chasing after them,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's something. It'll be interesting to. I mean, I'm ready to try it. I mean, really.
It gets you excited, and here's the thing too. It's such a learning curve, and that's why I say these are a way. These are how I've had experiences, right? Not the way.
Yep.
Man, you're always learning. I hear something
sure.
every year in the Elk Woods. I'm very fortunate in the industry and the friendships that I have.
Right.
To continue to learn, just like people are learning from me, I learn from them, and we put it all together, and you throw it out there.
Yeah.
But the better you hone your craft, I talk about that a lot.
Yep.
With your calling skills and your shooting skills and your physical fitness and whatever it may be. Warren, can't talk right now, buddy. The better you're going to be, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. So
Yeah, and I think another thing that holds people back is like they're intimidated or worried to fail.
yeah.
Oh, dude, that is huge.
You know what I mean? Like it's I've duck hunted with a lot of people, and I'm like, hey man, rip on your call. They're like, oh man, no.
Fear of failure keeps people from taking that first step.
Absolutely.
Like,
but
There's a million quotes on failure, right?
Yeah.
And just this morning, chatting about this, the reason guys and gals have had so much success in the Elk Woods is because they've quadrupled the failures.
Sure.
I promise you that. The mistakes that you will make and will continue to make, it's just the more experience, the more times you get to do it,
Right.
the better you get at it, right?
Sure.
But
Absolutely.
we still make mistakes. And it's not talking too much about like this morning. Man, you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy that overanalyzes even after I harvest a bowl of people. I'm like, man, if I would have did this wrong or not did this, like,
Yep.
it's some of those things. It's one of those things you get thrilled for, and it's a bug. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
Oh,
If it was easy, it wouldn't nearly be as fun.
it wouldn't, man.
You know what I mean?
so
No.
that's we did that podcast with Andrew McKeon, and he was
Yeah.
like, if I knew the outcome, if I knew what was going to happen at the end, he goes, I don't think I'd hunt.
No, I'm with you. Because you get older and experiences go. We keep talking about that, or I keep talking about that. The killing part's the worst part of it, right? You got to have a appreciation for life. I love the animals.
Absolutely.
I love their beauty. I love to eat them. They feed my family. They truly do, and it's a passion of mine. The killing part's the worst part. But the challenge is to trick that 800-pound, 750-pound animal into thinking that you were an actual elk.
Yeah.
You trick them eyes, you trick them ears, you trick that nose. Man.
Okay, I'm going to bring up something right now that could be considered a douchey move. Okay, so Sam, you're going to know about this.
Let's hear it.
In Texas, you got these high fence ranches. but I want to get better at calling elk. So come this fall, or come like sometimes, I want to start calling elk. Would it be douchey to like sit outside a high fence and just start calling the elk and seeing if you could bring one to a fence line? Is that looked like?
I wouldn't do it in the ditch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pull in the bar ditch and do it because that could raise some concern. But
First off, yeah.
Hey, we'll talk about that offhand.
Okay. First off, is it legal? Because in some places, harassing game, I don't know how it works on the high fence, but is there any better place to listen to a wild elk or a hill elk? You talk about assassins right there. Dan Picard.
Dude, he's a killer.
He's a killer. That guy knows what he's doing.
Believe this or not.
Real quick, is there a better place to hear what an elk sounds like from an actual elk?
No.
So,
there you go.
I mean, you use the word douchey. I don't know if I would. If it's legal, and if I can go out there and just listen to them, I mean, that's with the cow calling. You know, you're listening to them. You're listening to all the different sounds that they make.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah. I used to go to the golf course and listen to the ducks after hours.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My parents live right there by the golf course, so I'd go out there and I'd listen to them ducks, and I'd call at them, and it was fun.
Yeah.
Same but different, you know.
I didn't think about the whole harassing wildlife thing. That makes sense. But when it's behind a tall fence, there's different rules. But, I mean, I'm sure this has been talked about quite a bit, but no one actually talks about it. There's a lot of closed units that you can't hunt elk in, but there's a ton of elk, like watershed units. And
sure.
It's like, man, I'm not.
You could definitely go listen to them. I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listening to them, and and the inflection in the voice that you hear. There will never be. There's a lot of guys and gals. Let's throw them that are close, that are some just unbelievably world-class elk callers. And there's more today than there's ever been. I mean, that whole World Elk Calling Championship thing, that thing is something fierce. I tell you what, man. You hear noises there. Guys and gals are so good at manipulating reeds that the elk even haven't made yet. I mean, it's crazy. Good. But the elk will always be number one. And so to be able to go and listen to them and hear what they're doing and their voice, whether they're throat, and the variety, right? So you might just have a groan, that's all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I match the emotion, I match the tone. It's a lot of that give and take.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going west, we're hunting elk. How many diaphragms does this guy have to have before season? Because you're going to blow them out and wear them out.
Yep.
And how many does he have to take with him on a hunt? And how many different diaphragms do you carry?
If we're just throwing numbers, let's throw what you're going to be practicing. And a diaphragm, so it's a perishable, right? It's latex.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to practice all through the summer, several months, minimum 6, minimum. On my elk hunts, I mean, obviously, I'm afforded. I know a guy that.
Do you put a freshie in for your hunts?
No, not necessarily. Depends if I have that one dialed in. Is that one just sweet? Do I have it perfect? Do I have the buzz that I want? Can I maintain the note? Do my chuckles, are they spot? I mean, so you just kind of, it's one of those things. If you know, you'll feel it. You'll feel when a diaphragm is not at its peak, right? You'll start to hear even a little bit more of a buzz, or you start to lose a little bit of air.
You can feel it in your mouth.
There you go. Minimum, if we got to put number 6, and then me in the Elk Woods. I'm carrying 4 on my person, but I promise you, in my truck I have another 10. You never know, I always mess with Rocky on this Raging Bull. Why do you think it's brown? This is not true. This is a joke. Man, that was genius, Rocky. You drop the brown one in any kind of geographical
it's gone.
Topography, you're good luck in finding that thing. It can be on your foot all day, and you're like, son of a gun.
Right.
So I'm going to have more than I need, because I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them.
Amen.
And if you're out in the Elk Woods without your diaphragm or your external or your bugle tube, have a good fun with a walk.
You guys make a couple different bugle tubes.
Absolutely.
Why select one over the other?
Well, the different tubes do different things, different sounds. You got some that are higher pitched, airier. You have some that have a little bit better back pressure than others. Depends what you're looking for, right?
So tell me, I don't know.
Okay,
what am I looking for?
I'll give you a scenario here. Southern Montana, there are some big bulls, but a lot of that country is known for not as many mature bulls. I don't want to sound like a bigger bull. I want to have a little bit airier tube, a little bit higher pitched to not run them bulls out of there. So one of our tubes, which is a great tube, is our aluminum, is our bully bowl. You know, that's a great high-pitch airy tube that has a vet system, kind of like this Wapiti Whacker here, which is the volume enhancement tone technology, which has a spring in there. Rocky, being the genius he was.
For vibration of
yeah, with the musician, that
resonance.
harnesses the air and the back pressure there, so that one's in there. A couple personal preference of mine that I love is the Wapiti Whacker. I'll be partial. This is one of Rocky's home run tubes that I just love it to death. But I also, the Bull Basher's another one with a splitter in it. A little bit of cheating, gives you a little free air. Really good back pressure, a lot of volume. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Those are my two favorite. You know, I killed that big bull with the Bull Basher, so that holds a special place. But I love the Wapiti Whacker. We also have the Bully Bull Extreme.
Wapiti Whacker.
Wapiti, yeah. The Bully Bull Extreme is a top seller for us. That's a tapered tube with a bigger mouthpiece. And not to mention on our Bull Basher and our vet system, you can put it comes accessorized with the bigger mouthpiece on as well. Some guys and gals like the bigger mouthpiece to lip ball, you know, when they're doing the lip ball. Yep.
Yeah.
So a variety of tubes for different applications. You can do a lot with the same tube, but there is a purpose for the different number of tubes. Just like the same with our diaphragms, you know, the over 30 plus SKUs of diaphragms, it's different latex thickness and latex stretch, tones, and all that kind of stuff. So
a bullet is a bullet, but there's bullets for specific, you know, things.
There you go.
So it's the same thing with diaphragms or bugle tubes.
6 different diaphragms. And you're gonna always have your number ones. You know, I would pick 3 that you feel really comfortable with, 3 in the woods that you can cow call and bugle with if you had to. But a lot of times I'll go in the season where I'm going to strictly bugle with this one for locating because it is spot on. And then I have my Mellow Mama or my Black Magic strictly where I'm going to cow call. I mean, so you dial in like that, right? And now we're getting apples that we're getting real finicky, right? But I do believe the elk are that smart these days, wherever you're hunting, to where it might take that little bit of an edge on a different diaphragm. Like, they might not love your Black Magic, but they want to hear Steve Chappell's Elk Camp or Rocky Jacobson's Elk Slayer. They might want to hear the Voodoo external.
So like predator calling.
Yeah.
You just keep rolling through the sounds until you find the one that brings it in.
That's right.
Like, because, you know, it might not be jackrabbit, it might not be whatever, but something's going to trigger them and be like, oh, I'm coming.
Yeah.
We had the similar experience when we were out calling with the Fox Pro. We shut it off, went to the Rocky Mountain hand call.
Tom with 13s, right?
And we look up and, oh my gosh. 15 feet.
Oh, it's a good call.
We had them right on us.
That's the middle one.
That's the middle. Yep, that's the mean. Yep, you got the little, the mean, and the big.
Yeah.
So
I like those.
Yeah, they're cool, man. They do well.
All right. Well, for sake of time, do you got any last questions?
Man, I'm pretty good.
Okay.
I feel like I got some out of it.
He's like, I gotta take some of this in.
I need to get a bugle tube and start ripping them while I'm driving down the road.
There you go.
Dude, you got to rip them in the house. Sneak
in the house. The vehicle is always good. Another real quick thing is like calling and you know I don't call as much as somebody would think, right? Like, because
less is more.
At sometimes, because you can pick up some bad habits too. I'm testing diaphragms and that kind of stuff all the time, but also too, you know, getting into my summer and the World Elk Calling Championships where I start to get really dialed in. Then by season, that's when you want to be at your peak. But I will go and try. So if you're bugling straight in your garage all the time, that's going to sound different if you step outside your garage.
Yep. It changes everything.
So I actually, and closest place to home in the timber, if I'm playing with new diaphragms, I'll get somewhere where I can hear it in the timber, because it's going to sound way different in the timber than in the living room of my house or something. So just, you know, things like that, you know. And then record yourself. Your peers are going to be, you know, that's what the hardest thing to do is get up there and bugle or call in front of peers.
I know. I want to enter the elk calling contest here just because I want to do it, but I'm not courageous enough right now to do that.
It's a different animal on that stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different. It's just, and show calling to elk calling is way different as well, right? I mean, it's different. You know, we make our money. It's in the woods. You know, we want to put the best products and accessories out there for you to have success in the woods.
Yep,
So.
absolutely. Brother, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Once
absolutely.
again, we're going to, this September, we're going to hunt.
Yeah.
We're going to do it.
We got to figure it out. This is the year.
Yeah.
So,
dude,
let's get her dialed in.
Let's do it.
I'm going to call in the bull.
Soul Seekers on 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I'm Johnny Mack, Josh Fields, Sam Singleton, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls live from Initial Ascent booth at the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo in Salt Lake City, Utah. Guys, I hope you got a lot out of this episode. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Hit up Josh on Instagram. Your handle is Josh Fields
21.
21.
Yep. Oh. Or you know what? Hit straight to www.rockymountainhuntingcalls.com. It'll go to the best customer service in the world because I know that because I am customer service. So, yeah, we'll take care of you. I love the phone calls. I love the feedback. I love helping people with the 10-cent lesson and getting them out there and then go do it. So.
That's right. Just go do it.
Go do it.
Go do it. You know, you miss every shot, you never take.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thanks, MJ.
Yeah, right. Woo! All right, be blessed, everybody. Thanks for tuning in this episode. If you like it, share, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, review. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you want hunting to last for generations to come, it starts with you being that change and inspiring other people and fanning that flame of hunting and conservation. Remember, you can never outgive good. As mentorship, as conservation, I'm Johnny Mack, Soul Seekers, Freedom On. Stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast and want to support the show, you can always like, share, subscribe, and leave a rating as it helps us share our mission of mentorship as conservation. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of Soul Seekers Nation as we transform lives through primal adventure. If you want to get more connected with the podcast, check out the Soul Seekers Nation Facebook group as I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. So stay tuned and stay soulful.